He entered his own dealership dressed like any ordinary shopper, no tailored suit, no expensive watch, no obvious sign of wealth. His goal was simple: observe how customers were really treated when no one thought the boss was watching. What he saw didn't disappoint, it disgusted. The dealership radiated luxury. The scent of new leather mixed with high-end cologne and espresso. Subtle classical music trickled through hidden speakers as staff whispered in corners and heels clicked across pristine marble floors. Marcus Tate stood near a cherry-red sports car, fingers lightly trailing its aerodynamic curves. He was in no rush. Unfortunately, the staff didn't see a customer, they saw someone who didn't fit their mold. A young associate in a sharp gray suit shot Marcus a dismissive glance, took in the casual t-shirt and cargo pants, and redirected his attention to a couple stepping out of a luxury crossover. No greeting. No eye contact. Just judgment. Marcus had seen this before, too many times, in fact. But this time, it hit harder. No one even acknowledged his presence. Nearby, a sharply dressed man walked in, radiating affluence. He hadn't even spoken before staff scrambled, offering water, eager smiles, access to their exclusive inventory. It wasn't just good service, it was performative worship. And it was a stark contrast to the silence surrounding Marcus. He waited. Watched. 40 minutes passed. No change. Eventually, he approached the front desk. "Excuse me," he said politely. The receptionist, her hair pinned tight and her tone colder than the showroom AC, didn't bother looking up. "Sales reps are all booked. You can wait outside if you're just looking around," she said without pause. Marcus blinked. "Outside?" She tapped keys, not even pretending to care. "Yes. We reserve this space for serious buyers. Unless you're here for a purchase, we can schedule a visit another day." Before Marcus could respond, another associate stepped in. Older, graying, and wearing a name tag that read, Greg. His eyes swept from Marcus's sneakers to his unbothered expression. "This dealership is tailored for a particular kind of client," he said flatly. "You might be more comfortable checking out our pre-owned inventory across town. We've got great payment plans, if that's a concern." Marcus stared at him. "Is it me who's in the wrong place, or you?" Greg blinked, briefly flustered, before forcing a patronizing smile. "Just trying to help you find the right fit." Marcus let the insult linger. He turned his gaze to the man in the suit, now sipping mineral water as staff catered to his every whim. Wordlessly, Marcus reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and placed a quick call. 2 rings. "I need you here," he said. Then he hung up. They had no idea who he was. But they were about to find out. Marcus Tate wasn't always overlooked. He came from modest roots in Boise, Idaho, the son of a schoolteacher and a tire shop owner. From a young age, he worked alongside his father, learning not just about engines and alignment, but about how easily people judged by appearance. One memory stuck with him. A wealthy regular, Mr. Callahan, always showed up in a polished Lincoln. Everyone treated him like royalty, until one day, he arrived in dirty work boots and a clunky van. Suddenly, no one offered him coffee. Respect disappeared with the shine of his shoes. By 24, Marcus opened a used car lot with one principle: treat every customer like they matter. That philosophy grew his empire across 4 states. By 40, he ran one of the top luxury auto chains in the country. And yet, here he was, in his own store, being treated like a trespasser. This wasn't a stunt. It was routine. He often visited his dealerships without notice, blending in, watching quietly. What mattered wasn't how people behaved when the cameras were on, but how they acted when they thought no one was watching. And today, they were failing miserably, standing beside the front desk, ignored. Marcus wondered how many others had come through these doors and received the same treatment. How many had walked out, dignity bruised, dismissed not for their intent, but their appearance. The energy in the room shifted suddenly as a tall man in a jet-black suit entered the building. Platinum cufflinks gleamed as he adjusted his sleeves. Immediately, 3 sales reps abandoned their conversations and rushed toward him. "Sir. Welcome. Can we offer you sparkling water? Perhaps a test drive of our newest imports?" The man smiled, reveling in the attention. Nearby, a junior salesman nudged a coworker, glancing at Marcus. "You can tell who's buying and who's just killing time," he muttered. Marcus acted like he didn't hear. He approached a sleek midnight blue coupe with a $280,000 sticker and reached for the door handle. "Sir, please don't touch that," came Greg's sharp voice behind him. Marcus turned slowly. "We keep our showroom models immaculate for real buyers," Greg said firmly. "If you're browsing, I can walk you to a better match. Affordable options." Marcus let that hang in the air. He looked over at the man in the suit, now sitting in a new car, being pampered with brochures and compliments. That he turned back to Greg. "Let me get this straight. No one's asked me my name. No one's asked if I have an appointment. No one's asked what I do. But you've already made a decision about me." Greg shrugged. "We cater to a certain clientele. You understand?" Marcus gave a small, measured smile. "Yeah. I understand." Greg mistook it for agreement. Marcus pulled out his phone again and made a second call. "Send them in," he said calmly. What happened next would reshape the future of that dealership, and end a few careers along the way. Marcus slipped his phone back into his pocket, his expression unreadable. Around him, the showroom returned to its regular rhythm, except now, he was invisible again. The sales team hovered around the suited customer, laughing and pouring compliments like champagne. Greg, thinking the situation handled, had already turned his back. Marcus took a slow breath and looked toward the entrance just as a gleaming silver Aston Martin DB12 purred to a halt at the curb. Its metallic skin caught the sunlight like polished chrome. A valet darted forward to open the rear door, and out stepped a tall man in a tailored navy suit. His presence was immediate, decisive, refined. He adjusted his cufflinks, took a quick scan through the glass wall, and walked inside without hesitation. Silence overtook the showroom. Suits straightened, ties were smoothed, backs stiffened. The staff sensed authority even before he spoke. Greg blinked, suddenly alert. The man's footsteps echoed on the polished floor, sharp and deliberate, drawing every gaze in the room. Then he stopped, right in front of Marcus, and offered a respectful nod. "Apologies for the delay, sir," he said. Marcus returned the nod, unbothered, as though this was routine. Mouths parted in disbelief. Confusion spread like smoke. Greg stepped forward, nerves rising. "I'm sorry, I don't believe we've met." The man turned slightly, eyes cool. "Nathan Pierce. I oversee regional operations." The tone was quiet, but it cut clean. "And I believe you're the one I need to speak with." A shift rippled through the room. Greg's face drained of color. The receptionist looked like she'd been doused with cold water. Salesmen who'd ignored Marcus now stood paralyzed, trying to process what they were witnessing. Marcus didn't say a word at first. He scanned the room, letting the silence bear its weight. Then, quietly, with the control of someone used to commanding rooms, he asked, "Is this how we treat people here?" Greg opened his mouth but said nothing. The rest of the staff stood frozen, no one daring to move or speak. Nathan remained composed, eyes fixed on the team like a prosecutor waiting for a plea. Greg finally choked, "This is just a miscommunication. A simple mistake." Marcus tilted his head. "A mistake," he repeated, tone flat. "Yes, sir. We have a certain clientele. We do our best to make sure the experience is curated for a particular clientele," Marcus interrupted. His voice was calm. Cold. Greg gave a weak smile. "Right. And we weren't aware," Marcus chuckled under his breath. "You weren't aware who I was." He looked at Nathan. "What's this location's annual sales?" "Roughly $32 million, last fiscal year," Nathan said without missing a beat. Marcus turned back to the staff. That's $32 million in annual revenue, he said evenly. And yet you've decided who deserves your attention based solely on how they look when they walk through the door. Not a soul dared interrupt that. He stepped toward Greg, not menacing, but close enough that there was no mistaking who held authority. What would have happened if I really had been just another customer, he asked. What if I was ready to drop $500,000 today? Would you have let that walk away? Greg's mouth opened, then closed. There was no answer that wouldn't damn him. The silence stretched until Nathan spoke again. Mr. Tate, how would you like to proceed? Greg's eyes widened. Mr. Tate. His jaw moved soundlessly, like he was trying to rewind time. Marcus studied them. I want names, he said simply. Nathan nodded. I already have them. A ripple of panic shot through the staff. The receptionist's lips tightened. One of the younger reps took a small step back, as if he could somehow disappear. Greg stammered. Sir, please, this isn't who we are. This isn't how we normally. Marcus lifted his hand, and Greg fell silent again. I've spent 2 decades building this business, Marcus said. From scratch. I started with nothing but a used lot and a rule: treat every customer with respect. That's it. That's the whole secret. His voice was soft but unwavering. Respect doesn't cost anything. But it shows everything. He let that hang in the air. Today, he continued, you judged me before I even spoke. You saw my clothes, made your assumptions, and decided I wasn't worth your time. If you did that to me, then I have no doubt you've done it to countless others who never had a chance to prove you wrong. There was no argument. No rebuttal. Just silence. Nathan stepped forward now. Effective immediately, he said, voice clipped, everyone involved in this incident is relieved of their duties. Greg staggered. Wait, you can't be serious. We didn't know. This isn't a negotiation, Nathan replied coldly. We don't run our company like this. Another employee tried to step forward but thought better of it. The room was locked in a freeze of realization and regret. Marcus looked at each of them one last time, not with anger, but with disappointment. Send a message to every location, he told Nathan. Let them all know, we don't judge our customers. We serve them. Or we don't serve at all. Nathan nodded. Understood. And with that, Marcus turned and walked out, leaving behind the stunned silence of a showroom that had just learned a very expensive lesson. Absolutely, Nathan said with quiet resolve. Marcus gave the showroom one last look, the people, the polished cars, the silence heavy with shame. Then, in a voice soft enough to make them lean in, yet sharp enough to leave a scar, he said, this was never about money. He paused, letting the truth hang in the air, it's about respect. With that, he turned and walked toward the glass doors. Behind him, no one moved. The moment lingered, heavy and final. Inside, what remained wasn't just a mistake, it was a reckoning. Outside, the warm breeze met him like a reset. He straightened his sleeve, shoulders relaxed, unbothered. The fallout inside didn't belong to him, it never had. Through the tinted glass, he caught glimpses of the stunned showroom, Greg still frozen mid-thought, the young salesman pale and slumped against the desk, the receptionist turned away, hand over her mouth. Nathan was already on his phone, his expression focused, efficient, taking care of business. A valet hurried up, recognizing him now. Sir, may I bring your car around? Marcus glanced at him. The kid had been the one neutral presence all along. He'd shown decency without knowing who Marcus was. Reaching into his pocket, Marcus pulled out a 50. You did your job right today. The valet hesitated. I just try to treat everyone the same, sir. Marcus nodded, a small smile breaking through. That's why you'll go far. Just then, a sleek black Genesis G90 glided to the curb. The driver stepped out in a sharp charcoal suit and opened the door without a word. Mr. Tate. Marcus slid into the back seat, the luxury cabin sealing off the world outside. As the car pulled away from the curb, he looked back one last time. That building, those people, had shown their true selves. Some would learn from it. Some wouldn't. But they'd all remember, because this wasn't about revenge. It never had been. It was about setting the tone. About raising the bar. About making it clear, if your respect depends on someone's shoes, car, or bank balance, then it was never respect to begin with. True respect doesn't need proof. It's offered freely. To everyone, and if you only recognize power when it's wearing a suit, you'll never know where it really lives.